Hello my friends, hello my besties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alexis and today we're doing my first book haul of 2025. If you don't mind that we're on the floor today, I wanted a different setup, so I'm literally sitting on this like giant squishmallow sitting in front of my bookshelves, and I'm going to be going through all my new books with you. As I get new books, I pile them up on my TV stand until they pretty much touch the TV. Then I take the time to organize them into my bookshelves. I always procrastinate doing this because I end up having to move so many books around and it's just like, it's a whole process, you know? We have finally gotten to the point today where I need to put my books away, so I thought before I take them all down from their big stack and put them into my shelves, it would be very fun to show you all the new books I've added to my collection recently. The first book I've added to my collection recently is Only in Your Dreams. This is a small town football romance where the main characters are having a little second chance moment and end up reconnecting in their joined small town where he is now the football coach. Tagline on the back says, if he can prove he loved her then and he loves her still, this time might be different. That sounds so cute. I think I have both the arc of this and the finished copy, but I think it sounds very fun. This one is from Atria. Thank you so much, Atria, for sending me a copy of this book. I'm really looking forward to read this when I want a little bit of a football romance. Also, personally, in my household, we are OSU fans, so I kind of am obsessed with the fact that he's wearing a little like white, red, gray moment. Maybe it's OSU coded. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. I feel like I'm still waking up right now. Oh my gosh. Not only do I feel like I'm still waking up right now, but I have the Loathing song from Wicked stuck in my head. I don't know what it's called, but you're like, loathing, unadulterated loathing. That song was playing in my head right now. The next book I have is Dream Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey. So in 2024, I finally entered my Tessa Bailey era and read 2 of her books. So this is going to be the third. It looks like this is a hockey romance, and I mean, I can tell that from the cover, but also please, a moment of applause for these beautiful sprayed edges. When this showed up in my mailbox, the gasp I gusped. This is beautiful. It says it's a steamy chance encounter between a professional hockey player and the manic pixie dream girl he can't seem to forget, but it takes a turn when the pair realize that their parents are engaged in a new rom-com. That sounds good. I also recently went to my first hockey game and I like get it now. I've always been a hockey romance girly. I've always enjoyed a hockey romance, but something about actually going to a game and seeing these massive men on ice. I also looked up how much they make, like their salaries. And now it's like, you know what? I do understand why all the hockey romances I read have very, very wealthy main characters. That makes sense now. Plus, this book is really beautiful. I'm excited to read it, so thank you so much to Avon Books for sending it to me. These next 2 are from Dell, and I actually don't know anything about either of them, so we're gonna find out together. The first one is Flirting with Disaster. This cover is so freaking pretty. Like, it's a second chance romance between our main 2 characters who end up getting divorced, but are forced back together when a hurricane is forming. And they are forced to hunker down in the same house and rekindle their romance while weathering out this hurricane. I already was obsessed with this cover, but now it makes even more sense. Specifically, like on the back, it says, so she'll stick to her plan, come hell or high water, but will her windswept heart make the right choice? Okay, flipping through it, it looks like it might be a bit of a past and present timeline. All the chapters have these cute little cloud headings. I love that. I love details like that in books so much. It's relatively thin and pretty short, so I'm looking forward to reading this. I feel like this will be a really good, quick little read. The other book is called Those Fatal Flowers. I don't know if this is one that I'm going to like from what I remember about it. So it's a Roman mythology book. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I'm not really into historical fiction or books from the past. It's just not for me. I think one day I might like them, but right now it's not. But I'm still going to tell you what this is about in case you might be interested in it, but I think this one will probably end up going to like my sister or something. A lot of times when publishers are kind enough to send me free copies of books that I end up not really being interested in, I like to give them to friends and family because that means they're going to get into the hands of someone who will read and enjoy them. Looks like this book has a lot to do with goddesses, and it is sapphic. It says it's filled with sapphic longing and female rage. One of the main characters specifically mentions that she's longing for a woman who looks like her ex-love. It sounds intriguing, and even though this isn't a book that I think I will probably be rereading just since I'm not very into historical fiction in any capacity, this does sound interesting and I wanted to highlight it in this video, so thank you so much, Dell, for sending this to me. Okay, these 2 are also from Dell. I'm very excited about them both. First is Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. I have already read this and I have the arc on my shelf. I'm very excited to own a finished copy. I think I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. I didn't quite love it as much as Out on a Limb, but I didn't hate it either. It really walked the middle line for me. It is a save the marriage romance where the main characters are going on this hiking trip, completely isolated, no phones. They're not supposed to like, you know, do like the devil's tango. And in the book, they're trying to reconnect and save their marriage. Also, while the main character is trying to figure out what she wants from life independently after she's gone through a lot of pain and trauma. To me, this book was just fine. I wanted to like it more than I did. I do love that it has a Taylor Swift inspired cover, and it was good overall. It was not a bad book, but to me, this is not one that's going to live rent-free in my mind nearly as much as other books from Hannah Bonham Young. And the last book that Dell sent me is Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer. If you've been around these parts, you probably know that I'm a massive fan of this series. Like, obsessed with this series. And when I saw that Stephanie Archer was getting picked up by Dell Books to traditionally republish her hockey romances, I was so excited. I literally emailed them so quickly. I was like, hi, oh my gosh, #1 fan over here. Like, I'm constantly yapping about these books. Please, 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 please. So when this showed up, I was so excited. This is the first of, I think it's a 4 or 5 book series, and there are 3 out right now. And this one follows Pippa and Jamie. It is a sunshine, grumpy, forced proximity. She's his assistant, but they went to high school together type of romance. And I ate this book up so hard. I recommend this series endlessly. There are 3 of them. I'll put the other 2 on the screen right here. I need y'all to pick these up. If you like hockey romances, you're going to love this series. One in particular, the guy is so freaking supportive of her, and I love that. I'm obsessed with how much this man just supports her endlessly and endlessly, and that's something that carries out through all of the books in this series, is like the men are just so supportive of their women, as they should be, and I eat it up every time. I eat it up every time. A big genre shift. These are 2 books I actually purchased myself, and that is All In and Bad Blood by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, the last 2 books in the Natural series. Around the time that this video is coming out, a video about these is coming out. I'm actually currently halfway into Bad Blood, and I'm filming a reading vlog of the entire series. It was incredibly unintentional. I sat down to read Larry Reed's favorite books, starting with the first book in the Natural series, and then I've ended up binge reading the entire series. I'm on page 300 right now, so I have 70 pages left of the book and then the novella. After I finished the second book, I ran to Barnes & Noble to buy the last 2 because I had a gift card, hence Barnes & Noble, but because I needed them. I needed to own them. I needed to read them, and I'm genuinely obsessed with that series. It is so good. And when that video is out, I'll have all of my thoughts and feelings, and it's spoiler free, so that's fun. Because I didn't realize there's another book from Dell on this list because they're so sweet. They spoil me so much. Ever since I started the romance influencer program, they are just the sweetest, and I appreciate them from the bottom of my heart. They did also send me a finished copy of Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. I also have an arc of this one on my shelf. Read it early and gave it 5 freaking stars. Again, if you've been around, you probably know that I'm a huge fan of the Rome, Kentucky series by Sarah Adams. When I read the first one, Red in Rome, I fell in love. Practice Make Perfect just built so perfectly on that, and then Beg, Borrow, or Steal was perfection. Like, I truly find this series to be so perfect. It is cozy, it's romantic, the tension is there, the small town vibes are immaculate. This book was a bit thicker than the other 2 in this series, but I love how much deeper we got into the characters' psyches. It was still fluffy and delicious and fun, but there was a lot more of trauma that we were getting into, and watching the characters work through how they were feeling and their traumas together, I was obsessed with how well they work together. This is a enemies to lovers sort of book. The main 2 characters don't like each other, but at the same time have this inexplicable draw to each other where they want to be near each other, but they also hate each other. They end up becoming neighbors in this small town, and they work at the same school, so there's a lot of forced proximity, and they're also both secretly authors. This 8, this absolutely freaking 8 in every way, shape, or form. I cannot recommend this series enough, and I will continue recommending it because I will not get this book out of my head. Chapter 16, if you know, you know. The next book is Dating and Dragons by Christy Boyce. Yes, I thought that's what her name was. This author is actually pretty local to me, which is very cool, but yet every time she has some sort of book signing, I have been busy. She did a book signing less than 10 minutes away from me, and it was a day I was not around, which was upsetting. She also has another book called Dungeons and Drama, and I think she also might have a book series called like Hot British Boyfriend. I believe it's the same author. This just came out from Delacorte Romance, and it says live streaming love. Quinn Norton is starting over at a new high school and hopes that joining a D&D game will be a trick to making new friends. So the premise is she joins this new D&D campaign, and they live stream all of their games, but there are no phones and no dating. So it's a forbidden romance between these 2 who are in D&D. I've never played D&D in my life, but every time there's a book about it, I find it so interesting because as a game, it is so intriguing. And I think that the way it's so different for each person who plays it, and there's so much involved in playing D&D, it's fascinating. Actually, I mean, so this is about D&D. Out of the Woods also has like D&D in it. Like, I find books with D&D as a subject or just something mentioned to be incredibly interesting. And I think that in my 20s at some point, I would love to play D&D. Thank you so much to Get Underlined for sending me this. I'm manifesting that in 2025, I actually can go to this author's signings because she lives so close to me. Like, she's local to me, and I still have never met her. Oh, this is another one from Dell. My bad, y'all. This is another one from Dell. This one is called Training the Heart, a Silver Pines novel. One thing about me, in the year of 2025, I want to enter my cowgirl romance era. I have never read a cowgirl romance ever. None. I have not read Elsie Silver. I have not read anyone else. And I'm determined to fix that. I've been acquiring slowly different cowboy romances, and I think that I'm going to do a reading vlog about cowboy romances at some point this year, which I thought would be very fun. I have a couple books from Lila Sage, 2 from Elsie Silver, and then now this one that I think I'm going to try to binge, and we'll see if I like cowboy romances. This one says it's a steamy cowboy romance with a grumpy ranch owner and a sunny horse trainer who must learn to work together in the second novel in the Silver Pines Ranch series. I did not know that this was the second book, but I'm guessing it's probably a series of interconnected standalones, so I'm gonna have to find the first book. This is called Holding in the Reins. I'm gonna have to look it up. Maybe I'll grab a copy of that and then read these 2 together in the cowboy romance book video I'm thinking about doing. I also just am obsessed with this cover. It's so pretty. It's like the softest greens and lovely purples, and I love like the spine detailing. I love a pink book. I don't think that's probably surprising. I love pink, but this book in particular is very beautiful. Thank you so much, Dell. I'm checking. I'm visually checking right now. I'm making eyes with that pile of books, and there are no more books from Dell on this list because I did not realize how many books from Dell there were on this list. This next book I have not read, but I'm very excited to. It's Rule. I don't know if y'all have heard about this because I surprisingly had not heard about this series until very recently, despite the fact that it's like a full 6-book series. This is the first one. It's a series of interconnected standalones about the men who run a tattoo shop. So I was sent this book, and I also got to go to the movie adaptation of it in theaters for free, which was a surreal experience. I can't even begin to explain the emotions I felt going to that theater and watching that movie in theaters for free. And by the way, no one else was there, so it was pretty much a private screening because no one else was in that theater. It made my heart so full to remember like the young version of me who started posting online about books. It'd be like, this is where I'm ended up. Like tonight I'm watching a movie premiere for a new book to movie adaptation because when I was a kid, I decided to start posting my books on the internet. That's so cool. That's so cool. The movie is called Marked Men, Rule and Shaw, by the way, and they're not, like, they don't know I'm talking about it anymore. Like, I already posted about it, whatever. It was genuinely very good. It was very funny. It was a little quick. Like, there were times where, like, there were definitely gaps in the trauma and depth that the characters had because it was an hour-and-a-half long film, but I laughed out loud multiple times. My boyfriend went with me. He was not expecting to like it because it's not really his normal type of movie. Even he was laughing out loud. Like, the dialogue was hilarious, and I'm really manifesting that they continue making movies based off the series because it's a whole found family dynamic, and then the different characters in that found family get other books, and I loved getting those sprinkles in the movie. So since I liked the movie so much, I'm very excited to read the book because I think that this book will fill in a lot of those trauma and like gaps where we're not really digging into the main character's headspaces because the main guy is very traumatized. He's gone through a lot, and I felt like there were moments in the film where we weren't able to truly dig into what was going on in our main character's heads. But it was an unexpectedly hilarious film. It was a great time. I really enjoyed going, and I'm very excited to pick up this series. I also hope they keep reprinting them like this because I don't like the book covers that much. But I like this. This cover's pretty. So thank you so much, Avon, for this, and then also for I think it's Fathom Entertainment for sending me to see that movie. That was genuinely so much fun. Like, I would not be here talking about it and saying go watch it if I didn't believe in it, and it was funny. And honestly, it's like my personal mission now to get more people to go watch the film because the second book, I was obsessed with the main couple from the second book that made cameos in the first movie, and I want so badly to watch them have a second movie. So badly. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. I've been talking about that for way too long. The next book is one I bought, and that's Accidentally Amy by Lynn Painter. If you know anything about Miss Lynn Painter, this book is actually a republished version of her traditionally published version. No, what? This is a republished version of her independently published work, Accidentally Amy. She had this chain of emails where she would send out a couple chapters each week in third person, and it was eventually bound up into a book called Accidentally Amy. However, Lynn decided to republish it with Berkeley with updated covers. It's a bit longer, and she switched it to dual POV first person. So even though I've read Accidentally Amy a while ago, which I did sincerely enjoy it, I decided to buy the new version so I could give it another go. I'm not in general the biggest third person fan. I much prefer first person. If I already gave it 4 stars with the independently published version, I bet I might even give it 5 with this version. The book I purchased was Once Smitten, Twice Shy by Chloe Lees. I actually bought this at a book signing. She went to Cincinnati and I made the trek down to go visit her and say hi, and it was very fun. So it is signed. I have a whole vlog on that book signing coming on the channel, which should be out before this. I'll put it in the corner for you because I'm very generous. I had to read this. It's the third in a series of interconnected standalones following 3 sisters. And this one I've been very excited for because the main character, Juliet, has had so many cameos in the first 2 books, building up to her story. And the way that Chloe talked about this book and the parts of herself that she put into the characters made me even more excited to read it because I think Chloe Lees talks about everything in her books with such heart and warmth, and almost every single one of her books has some type of neurodivergent character or disability representation, and they all have such loving found family energy. Except like I guess it's just family energy because it's not found family. It's just their family. I'm excited. I'm very excited. Next up is a book that was sent to me from Dell Romance, which is Better Than Revenge by Kasie West. I have not read a Kasie West book in so long. Actually, my stack is right there. You can kind of see it. It's that stack. I was obsessed with Kasie West when I was like 12 to 16. Her books were some of the first ones that got me into reading romances because they were very cute, and I stand by that. There are some of her romances that I would still pick up today. I think are very cute and swoony and fun. And several years ago, I stopped picking up her books when I had a streak of like 1-star reviews for them, and I felt like I had maybe outgrown her books, but this one really spoke to me. I mean, Taylor Swift title aside, I liked the premise. It is obviously, if you cannot tell, he is a football boy, and it is a podcast like situationship. I haven't read the back of this book in a minute, and it actually is a Better Than Revenge plot where she's getting revenge on her ex-boyfriend for stealing her idea by working with her ex-boyfriend's nemesis. I'm obsessed. I'm excited to read this. Please don't count the amount of times I have said the word excited in this video because we don't need to get into it. So the last book in my haul is one that I genuinely was worried would never show up, and that is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Let me tell y'all what happened with this book. Obviously it's the third and the fourth wing series. I'm sure no one's surprised that I got it. I'm very excited to read it. Here's what happened. So this book, it shipped 2 days before release and was expected to arrive on release day on Tuesday, and I was so excited. I was like, this is perfect. I can sit down, I can read it whenever I want. And then it just didn't show up for several days. And I was like, okay, you know, I'm gonna go into the tracking. Let me go check the tracking. This book had gone from wherever it went to the town I'm in, sat here for a day, went 2 hours south down to Cincinnati, and then just had no tracking updates. After Cincinnati, it just kept saying USPS item in custody, traveling through system. No updates, no location. Why it went from where I am to somewhere that I am not, I do not know. And this happened to my copy and my boyfriend's copy. So we're just like, what's happening? And then his sister lives in actually the same area we do, and her copy showed up before ours. So I was so bamboozled and honestly expecting that these were going to be lost in the mail. So when they unexpectedly showed up without being marked as delivered, I was truly delighted in my soul, because I did get the deluxe edition, obviously, since it is the first printing still. I wanted to make sure I got this edition so it would match the rest of them, because I just am a sucker for the sprayed edges. I am planning on doing a reading vlog for this, which I think will be out after this video comes out, where I'll be doing a full spoilery, because I did that for Iron Flame, and I thought it was so much more fun to do that, like as a passion project, not even something that I thought would get many views, because I didn't have a lot of people back then to talk to about Iron Flame in full spoiler, full details. So I loved that vlog. That vlog was so much fun. I remember crying my eyes out while I did that vlog. So I thought it'd be fun to do the same for Onyx Storm. All in all, these are, oh gosh, these aren't even all of them. There's a few more on the ground. These are most of the books that I talked about in today's video. I don't know how many there were. I'm not gonna count. I'm not gonna lie. So, but thank you so much if you're still here at the end. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. I post videos at least once a week, sometimes twice. So if you enjoyed hanging out with me, I'd love it if you stuck around. So thank you so much. Oh my gosh, hold on. If you've read any of these or are going to read any of these, anything like that, don't feel afraid to comment down below or message me on Instagram. My Instagram and TikTok are down below as per always. I hope you are doing well, and I will see you next week, okay? Bye!